Finish him.
Welcome to Hitman Boxing. Hit that like and subscribe button. Also, make sure you hit the bell icon so you know when I drop new content. I got a question for all the listeners out there. Do you guys remember a welterweight by the name of Keith Thurman? He used to go by Keith One-Time Thurman, or as some people call him, Keith Once Upon a Time Thurman, or Keefy Poo is what we call him over here on this channel. Do you guys remember that fighter? He was last seen picking himself off the floor against Manny Pacquiao and losing his WBA championship. Talking about that Keith Thurman. This guy has the audacity, the intestinal fortitude, the cojones, to say that he's going to be fighting Errol Spence in 2021, and this is coming off of a loss. Let's go ahead and get into Let's go ahead and get into Keith Thurman's statement about the situation. That's right. Pacquiao versus Thurman II, baby. That's my belt. I want my belt back. That's what real champions do. Give me my get back. Let's get right back, you know? Thurman-Spence, that's 2021. I can't wait. I want that fight. I can't wait. Keith Thurman's statement. Isn't that interesting? That's really interesting because, last time I checked, Errol Spence wasn't on Keith Thurman's radar. But Keith Thurman said a lot of interesting things the last couple of weeks because I believe he was calling out Terrence Crawford too. And didn't he say that Terrence Crawford wasn't on his radar at all? He wasn't thinking about him? Remember that? I'm a little confused, Keith. Maybe I've had too much to drink. Maybe I'm not following the sport of boxing as closely as you are, because apparently now you want to fight with Errol Spence. It's funny because before you had an O, you weren't afraid to let it go. The O's gone. Now all of a sudden you want to fight everybody, huh? And that's great. That's awesome. But where is this coming from? Because I know for a fact Keith Thurman still don't want to fight Errol Spence. He don't want to fight Terrence Crawford. He played everybody. And if you were a Keith Thurman fan before, I feel bad for you because he's a liar. Look, Keith Thurman, his whole career, he's faked injuries. He's ducked certain fighters. Look, the Pacquiao fight specifically, I'm guilty of this. I was going into that fight thinking that Keith Thurman was going to win that fight, regardless of what happened between him and Josecito Lopez, where Josecito Lopez could have potentially stopped Keith Thurman, but he somehow found the will to win that fight. But that should have been the red flag, and I should have listened to my instincts when I said that ain't no way in hell Keith Thurman going to beat Manny Pacquiao. Because Manny Pacquiao made this guy look bad. Had him picking himself off the floor. It was bad. And this was after he talked all that trash to Manny Pacquiao, was making fun of Asian people. He made himself look dumb. So I know Keith Thurman doesn't want those sort of problems again against, Errol Spence. This is the guy that he had been ducking. He had an opportunity to fight Errol Spence previously, but, he said the timing wasn't right. Spence didn't have a belt, but you had an opportunity to fight him for a belt on one of Floyd's undercards, man. Keith Thurman's a fraud, man. He's a fraud. 2 biggest wins at 147, Sean Porter, Danny Garcia. And some people say you didn't even beat Danny Garcia. But we know what happened in the lead up to both of those fights. You was faking injuries. You don't want to fight either of them dudes. You get into fake car accidents. Remember the car accidents you got into where you couldn't produce a police report or an injury report? You couldn't give us no discharge paperwork from the hospital. You try to get out that fight. Remember that? But we supposed to believe that you want to fight Errol Spence in 2021, and you coming off a loss, you don't have no get back opponent lined up. I mean, typically, just follow everyone else's lead. Danny Garcia, when he takes a loss, he takes an interim bout. Sean Porter takes a loss, gets himself an interim bout. But you You just want to jump right back into the fire, huh? Sounds like you're trying to cash yourself out, Keefy Poo. I mean, what, you gonna buy a new flute or something? I don't understand what this guy's looking to accomplish by talking about he wants to fight, wants the big fights. And, you know, I heard that you asked for $10 million to fight Terrence Crawford. When you try to make it seem like you was bringing the fight to him, that you wanted him to send you a contract and you would sign it on video, on Instagram Live or something. You said you was going to do that, but you asking for $10 million knowing you ain't worth that? You're not worth that with a loss. You know, Keith, once upon a time, used to be a dangerous fighter. He used to have a bright future. But what he did was he got too comfortable. He took the fight with Porter, won. Danny won. He got too comfortable. Got lazy. Blowing up, you know, between fights. Spending his whole training camp getting his weight down. Again, we talk about this so much with the welterweights. They blow up. They use their camp to cut weight. And then on fight night, they don't look the same. They don't look the same at all. Now, I'll give it to Keith Thurman. You know, the second part of that fight, he looked a lot better. But, you know, Keith Thurman's so fragile, he might, you know, break his pinky toe or something training for his next fight against Spence. And then what's the excuse going to be? It's always an excuse with him. Yeah, you broke you. What was that with Danny Garcia? Danny Garcia broke his shoulder, something stupid like that, man. You know, and then before the Danny Garcia fight, he said he had an elbow injury, and then he shows us a picture where he got makeup on his elbow, and then a week later, he's throwing out the first pitch of a baseball game. Like, what is it, Keith? What are you lying for? Faking these injuries. We tired of it, man. We don't want to. The Spence thing is done, all right? You're no longer top tier. And his argument is he never lost his WBC championship in the ring. Well, you're right. You didn't lose that championship in the ring. You lost it because you refused to take on any opponents. You decided to be inactive. You let all your fans down. This is why you got L of the Week some time ago. But you getting L of this week today. Because nobody cared about you fighting Errol Spence. You can't beat him. We knew you couldn't beat him back then. That's why you didn't want to take the fight. And you want to talk about fighting Terrence Crawford for what? For what? You didn't want to give Sean Porter his rematch. You don't want to give Danny Garcia his rematch, but you want to go hide in Afghanistan or wherever you was, get married. You come back, you know, rocking the dashiki or whatever it is you was rocking when you came back from whatever sewage dish you were in Kuala Lumpur over there. You come back, beautiful wife, by the way. You come back with her. As a matter of fact, I ran into Keith Thurman after he beat Sean Porter. I ran into this guy. Come on, man. He was in my condo downtown. Look, I'll never forget this. Ran into Keith Thurman in the lobby of my building. I'm looking at this guy like, what? I'm like, this can't be Keith Thurman. And y'all already know what the lead up to that fight was. This is before I was even like really popping on YouTube. Ran to Keith Thurman. You know what this guy asked me? You know what this idiot asked me? He said, "Hey man, that's a nice suit. Where did you get that suit from? Where do you buy suits at around here?" What? Excuse me? Don't you make millions of dollars, Keith? You don't know where to buy a suit from? You don't know where to buy a suit from? And let me tell you, this guy was dressed in some Jesus wear, some sandals, some Jesus sandals, hair all frizzy, eyebrow connected. Just one, he had a unibrow. He was looking rough, man. I don't even know if he still got that spot. But I should have said more. But you know what? I was just starting out on YouTube. I was like, man, I never really, aside from Mike Tyson, I never really seen a boxer in person, much less this little short guy. Because mind you, he's like 5'6" or something like that. You know, he's a short guy, light skin, with a big knot on his head. Obviously, that was Keith Thurman. But we're getting off topic here. Keith Thurman's a liar, okay? When he says he wants to fight Errol Spence in 2021, he's lying. He's trying to build a little bit of buzz for his name because he's not popping right now. He's not. But everybody else around him that he beat and people that are in that division are popping. He's not. That's why he calls him out. That's why he calls out the Spence when 2 years ago you acted like, oh, well, Spence got to do this and this and this. He got to win a championship. Well, how many belts you got now, Keefy Poo? You got 0, right? You got 0. And your O's gone, so you got to think of another catchphrase. You gotta think of a new catchphrase, Keith. That's your homework for tonight, Keith Thurman. Think of a new catchphrase. I got an O and I ain't afraid to let it go. That's done. Keith, one time Thurman? No, you're not one time no more. All right? You got to think of a new nickname. You got to think of a new catchphrase. That's your homework for tonight, Keith Thurman. So tweet this video to Keith Thurman. Let him know he better have a new nickname, a brand new catchphrase by the end of this week. And if he don't, we're going to keep coming at his head. And you're not getting that Spence fight. You're not getting that Terrence Crawford fight. You're not getting none of the fights you want. You're done. Hitman Boxing. Drop a comment, like the video, subscribe. I'm out.